going to kind of talk about healthcare issues and, you know, why we kind of need the changes that we need. So I want you to kind of introduce yourself and give a little bit of your experience and how you've contributed to the healthcare field.
Well, my name is Ebony. I've been in the medical field ever since 2008. I started off as an STNA at a nursing home where I got injured within the first year because we didn't have enough staff and they mandated me to stay overnight, and the co-workers wouldn't help me, and I ended up lifting a 250-pound man and pulling a muscle on my back and was out of work for a month. But I continued to do that because I was in school and I had to support myself. But I continued to be an STNA for several years. Then I ended up at Regency Hospital, which is an LTAC hospital, and they had a lot of trach patients. And I stayed there for 3 years, and then I also went to nursing school for my LPN. However, I didn't, pass my exit exam, so I didn't get my nursing license. And now I currently work for a DME company, which I've been with going on 7 years the end of this month. So I've pretty much been in the medical field, 13 years now? So it's been a long time, but I think what made me want to get into the medical field is because I've had several family members who have passed away. They was very sick, and just seeing how they got treated, when they went to hospitals and stuff, I didn't like that, so I felt like I had to basically get in here and try to see where I can make a difference, and be an advocate for people. And plus I love taking care of people. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, being in the medical field helps me to be able to do that. I can make a difference, somewhere. So that's why I chose to be in the medical field.
So when you say treatment,
mm-hmm.
and you seeing how your family was being treated,
mm-hmm.
What was that like? What was that experience like for you being the family member on the mm-hmm. outside, having the family member inside?
It was very devastating because I just, I had to be the voice, even though, my grandmother at the time, she could speak for herself, but she, she was in a wheelchair, she was in a scooter, so she couldn't get around and walk around, like she used to, so she lost, some of her mobility due to her illnesses that she had. So I had to be that voice for her. So I would literally, come to the nursing homes, come to the hospital, talk to the doctors, talk to the nurses. Somebody got fired because when she was at, this nursing home in Cleveland, they weren't taking care of her like she was literally in what. And I'm like, why is my grandmother in this?
It's okay to say, well, you know what
okay.
it is.
She was in feces.
Okay.
She was in feces. And mind you, she had got transported from the hospital. So, me learning nursing school and being an STNA, you're supposed to assess the patient, within the first hour of them getting there, right?
Yeah.
Clean them up, change them. They never did that. My grandmother was in the same hospital gown from the hospital because it has their logo on there, in feces. And that, really made me feel some type of way. And she baby, take care of me. So I'm like, okay, because that's what I do. So I did it, but that was somebody else's job, right? So I went to the nurse, I went to the aide, what y'all doing? The nurse tried to put it off on the aide, right? For them to do it, but this is your patient.
Yeah. So
you take care of your patient, so if the aide don't do it, then you do it.
Yeah.
But they didn't know, that's why it's good to know people. Somehow, I ended up talking to a family member and they knew the DON.
Okay.
So then, guess what? They got fired because they was next shift. So they wanted to put it off on the next shift.
Okay.
And that's what we got to stop doing, delegating responsibility to other people when it's our responsibility to do stuff as well.
Yeah.
So we need to, take full accountability, and it's all of our patients, right? Because if the patient wasn't there, you wouldn't have no job, you wouldn't have a paycheck, right?
Absolutely.
So take care of your patient.
Yeah.
And it's not just because it's my family member, because I also learned being in healthcare that I treat everybody like they're my family member. That way everybody get fair treatment.
Yeah.
Not treating each person like they're special, more than somebody else, because we're all human beings. Bump the titles.
Yeah.
So that's very hard, seeing your family members go through things and not be able to stand up for themselves and voice, their opinion. And then you have to be that voice for them. But luckily, like I say, I'm not, dumb to the medical field. I've been in the medical field for multiple years or whatever. And then I have, family members that are also in the, medical field. So I, communicate with them as well so we can get the job done. Yeah. Because somebody got to be the voice.
That's true. The one thing that I will say, because I feel like the topic of like that's your patient and the delegating, because there are certain responsibilities that nurse can delegate, but I think the problem a lot of times that the family don't get to see, in which they shouldn't have to be understanding of this, but being the person on the other side, being short-staffed when you don't have enough people that's actually working there. So this has continuously been an issue in the healthcare field because management don't care to provide us with enough people, but it's like they want to when you didn't do X, Y, Z, and it's like, but you didn't even provide me enough people to be able to get around to your grandmother, and it just so happened that when you was in there, maybe I was maybe it was time for me to get around to her, or maybe they dumped a whole bunch of other stuff on me and they're treating me like I'm a robot.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I've seen that too.
Yes.
Like I said, again, I've been an STNA for several years. So I've seen where the nurses literally, like they have to pass those pills. Yeah. And take those blood pressures. So I get that. And guess what? I'm right there assisting those nurses as well to try to make their job, easier so that they can take care of that, because I can't do that for them. Yeah. So I get that too. Yeah. But then I also see nurses just sitting behind that nurses station, right? Yeah. On their phone texting. Yeah. Or fake charting. Yeah. When you could be doing this. Yeah. So I get that too. Like, I look at it from all different spectrums, but also don't sit there and make the comment, oh, well, next shift can do it. No, because it happened on this shift. Right. So somebody should have been trying to address it. Maybe you could have sent another aide, or maybe two aides can teamed up or something. Yeah. But that ain't the first time that happened, and I've seen it happen more than once. Okay. So when it becomes repetitive, that's a problem for me. But I get exactly what you're saying, and I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen the nurses be short-handed. My auntie, she's a nurse practitioner now, but when she was doing bedside nursing, guess what? She had to do her own patient care. Yeah. And she got it done. She was overwhelmed and stressed and, passed the pills, but like everybody loved her because they like, you're the best, but that's because she do that extra stuff. I got another auntie where she was saying, I ain't doing none of that. So she ain't doing no patient care. Yeah. And I don't agree with that, because I feel like, just because you're a nurse don't mean that you not supposed to do patient care, but you might have other things that are more priority. So I get that as well. Yeah. So it's like a catch-22. And you know what? Because I actually just recently touched on that part of passing it off to the next shift. So so I just recently spoke on this. Like there was the last place I was working. Right. All of the nurses would complain. Like this particular unit was sending dirty patients. So, amongst ourselves, like, we would talk about it, we would get frustrated, but me being well, let's just try to fix the system because that way it won't be a problem. Yeah. Like, that was the thing. So, I would try to come and say, well, why don't we, report this and, talk to somebody, and nothing ever got done. So for me, I'm like, okay, well, if y'all not gonna speak up for yourselves, I'm gonna speak up for myself. So every single time before a patient will come to me, I will always call the nurse, that's sending the patient. Hey, can this patient get up? Can this patient walk? Have you checked on this patient? You know what I mean? And a lot of times they'll lie. Yeah. And say, oh no, this patient can walk, and lo and behold, this patient has a below the knee amputation. And it's like, you didn't tell me that this patient had a hand tube, or or that you were supposed to start heparin. You know what I mean, on the patient, but it's like, when I would try to speak up, like I became the problem. So I can't say anything to you about delaying the care of the patient. You know what I mean? Because I just shouldn't say anything. So I think for them, like, that became a problem. But like, I wasn't there for the friendship. I was there to actually take care of the patient, and I think that became a problem. So it's a lot. So being out of like the nursing home or the hospital, how do you feel about not being in that aspect of the healthcare field? So I really do like taking care of people, so I do kind of like the hands-on, so I miss that interaction. However, again, it cost me, like it affected my health. You know, so my back, I have a back injury because of it, where I see the chiropractor on a regular basis. So I miss taking care of the people, you know, in the hands-on. However, like I said, I still get to do that with my current role. However, I'm just like on the phone though. So like I talk to the people instead of actually physically doing that. So I still get to, you know, take care of the people, but just not in the physical way. So it helps my body as well too, because my body don't need all that stress and that bending over in your back. You get one life to live, one body. You mess that spine up, it's a wrap. No matter what you try to do, you can't correct it. Yeah. You could just try to mask the problem, you know, to hold you over. So, you know, healthcare is something else. Yeah. It's something else, but it's something, you know, that is going to continue.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you injured yourself, how did your employer care for you? What did they do for, if anything?
Right. Actually, they just, they cared more about me being the physical body on the floor. So it was like, how bad is your injury? Because we need to know how we need to schedule you, or do we need to schedule somebody else? So it was more so, we need you to work, and what happened to you? Yeah. Like, it was more so that, and are you gonna file workman's comp? Like it was
get over it and get back to work.
Exactly, it was more, you know, about the business instead of me. And that really made me upset, because like I said, I was at home for 30 days. I didn't collect no money at first. I had to fill out all these papers for workman's comp. They didn't compensate me what I would have been making, you know, but they did compensate me. They sent me to therapy. They put some tape on me. Like, I guess that's their therapy, but they put some tape. That did not work. Yeah. My back was messed up, and again, my back is still messed up. And like I said, I was seeing a chiropractor literally for several years. I actually just stopped because I relocated. Yeah. But now I go and get massages, which helps tremendously. But it's sad that you get injured from your job and then you're just a number, and they're willing to replace you because it's basically bad for business. That's horrible.
Now, you were telling me recently you experienced as the patient aspect of being, you know, in the hospital. What was that treatment like? Just on the patient side of things, having to deal with the nurses and doctors and, you know, your pain medication. Like, talk a little bit about that.
I'd rather be on the other aspect than being the patient, because I see it's horrible. It is really horrible. And I try to just be like the best patient ever, because I don't want to be a patient, but I see what people experience. Because I just recently had a surgery that was emergency. Like, it happened out of nowhere. Like, I called myself taking a vacation. I ended up having an infection. They ended up hospitalizing me for a whole 8 days. And the doctors and nurses, some of them was great, don't get me wrong. Some of them was really great. Other ones, it's like, I don't know, it was like the first nurse was good, the second nurse was bad, the third nurse was good. So it was like, it was on, off, where like some nurses are really on their job. I mean, I'm gonna medicate you, I'm gonna assess you, I'm gonna treat you like the patient, you know, you are. Then other ones was just like, oh, you're just a number, you know, in the bed, you know, you one of the people on my rosters that I have to take care of. Yeah. So I'm gonna do the bare minimum just to get the job done, to say that I did something. Yeah. You know, that hurts, like, you know, because we all people and we should be treated accordingly, not just a number or a paycheck, you know, like, why do I have to tell you to give me my medicine? It's scheduled every 6 hours or every 4 hours. You should be giving it to me. Yeah. Why do I have to tell you that I'm not a druggie? Yeah. There's no history of that. Yeah. Like, I don't do drugs. I don't even take pain medicine. I do everything naturally. Yeah. So for me to have to repeat that makes no sense. And why do I have to call family members to call you guys to tell y'all to do y'all jobs? Yeah. When y'all know what y'all supposed to do. Yeah. Like, that makes no sense.
I think I'm split between this, because it's a split thing for me. So, working as a nurse, typically they schedule, so let's say they schedule me 5 patients, and some places I've had as a maximum of 7, right? Wow. Everybody's medication is scheduled at 9 o'clock, right?
So everybody get their medicine at 9, or supposed to?
It's not. Everybody's supposed to get it at
supposed to 9. Okay.
Everybody's supposed to get it at 9 o'clock, right? Yeah. That's not possible.
Right. Yeah.
Realistically, it's not possible. When patients are asking, it's like, hey, you know, this medication is scheduled at 9, and then hospitals give you parameters like, you know, you can get it an hour before, you can get it an hour after, but realistically, I go into patient room number 1 and I'm in there for an hour. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
A patient might have almost fell on the floor or might be soaked because the person before didn't clean them, or you know what I mean? A whole list of things, right?
Okay.
And you're right, and it's like, you know, it's scheduled, but if I'm drowning, I can't get there at that time.
Okay, and I get you on that, but then that's where I feel like communication comes in the key.
Agreed.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that, but then on the flip side, I have seen the patient population, and I've seen the patients that I've had to fight for pain medication versus the patients that I haven't.
Right.
You know, you can clearly see, you know, just for an example, in one night I had an African-American female patient who came in, like, who was in so much pain, and I'm sending messages to the doctor like, hey, she's really in a lot of pain, and then I'll get a message back from a resident that says, oh, well, I was given specific instructions by the hospitalist not to give this patient any narcotics, and it's like, but why? Wow. You never came down here and assessed this patient. I'm the eyes for you as the nurse, and I can clearly see that this patient is not in any pain. Right. But then I've had, and this is a true story. You know, I've had a white patient, male patient, that has had a history of being on drugs, and yet you have scheduled medications that I don't even have to fight for, but I will have to fight to try to tell you, like, this is not appropriate. You know what I mean? This patient is clearly calling me, asking me for pain medicine, and then falling asleep. Right. You know, and it's like, that doesn't even make sense. And then if something was to happen and I'm seeing this and assessing this, you know, then there's my license. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's okay if I don't say anything. You know, you're going to prescribe the medicine to who you want to prescribe it to, and maybe you have to fight harder for others. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's so difficult, because in nursing school they always teach you that pain is what the patient says it is. Exactly, you know, but it's like, that's not how it's always treated. You know, so that I'm just kind of fed up with having to have that conversation. You know what I mean? And then we already have, especially a lot of African American people who don't want to come to the hospital already because they have no trust in the system.
That's how I feel. I don't want to go because, again, I've seen what my family members had to go through, and then me being the patient as well, what I've went through. And then those bills that they send is ridiculous. You know, and then they be running some tests that they don't need to run, right? Just so they can upcharge and bill. And it's like, come on now. Yeah. I don't need all this. So honestly, unless I feel like it's life or death, I don't want to go. You know, because I don't want that poor treatment.
Right. My sister-in-law lives in Japan, and one thing she had said actually kind of blew my mind, because, you know, you don't really think about the healthcare system like it is over in Japan. So when she gave birth to her baby, after so long, I don't know however many days, but she was able to come back to the hospital, right? And her husband got to get, like, the baby nurses took the baby and kind of took care of the baby to kind of give them some mental time, right? Because when you first become a parent, whether it's the first baby, second baby, whatever the case may be, like, you need that mental, like, like, my whole life just changed. Right. You know, I'm hearing this, but in this system here, and especially in the United States, you have a baby, they want you out the door, you know, so that you can get the next, you know what I mean? And it's
they
like,
need a bed.
They need a bed. Cause and it doesn't matter. Like, what happens with you at this point? We got what we needed from you.
Right. We're going to bill your insurance. We got that.
You can go. Yeah. You know, and it's like, it's so crazy to continuously, but in that aspect of things, especially when we talk about babies, like, our women are the ones that suffer the most. It's like, it is a tiring conversation to have. You watch so many stories. I just recently read a story of a patient that traveled 3,000 miles in an RV because they were allowing black patients, they weren't taking black women's pain seriously.
Are you serious?
Her and her husband got in an RV, drove 3,000 miles to go to another hospital just to be able to feel safe to deliver.
3,000 miles?
3,000 miles.
That's crazy.
And it's like, if we just...
That's crazy.
The solution just feels so simple. Like, people just need to stand up and just remove the power from the people who have it, because a lot of times, and I always say this, the people up there at the top have never experienced what it's like to be a nurse, right? Or what it's like to be a PCA. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? You have no idea, so it doesn't matter. To you is go to work and show up so that I can drive, be on my yacht, be on my night. And it's like, it shouldn't even be about that. You know what I mean? But unfortunately,
that's what it is.
And unfortunately, that's what it is.
Yeah.
This whole situation is crazy. I don't know. Just recently, I also posted about the nurse that killed herself just recently, August the 7th. Her name was Tristan Kate Smith.
Okay.
And
watch that.
The healthcare system literally drove this girl to suicide. Yeah. Like, I just listened to the note this morning, and I'm like, I understand. Yeah. Like, I started coming home anxious. Like, at first, like, you know, people go to school for a long time to be a nurse. A long time. Yeah. And nursing school will humble you.
It did me. My 18 months, I was like, wow. I mean, I thought STNA was something, but no, nursing school is totally different. Totally different. And actually, at the end of it, I was like, do I really want to do this? Yeah. I was like, I don't know. Like, because people's lives are going to be in my hands. And I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for it. So, yeah.
But on top of people's lives being in your hands, you know, the people above you are throwing so much more stuff onto your hands. You know what I mean? To where it makes you feel like you're going crazy.
Right.
Tristan Smith. And it's like, that stuff is so real. And just listening to the letter that she wrote, I can identify with so many things that she said, like those pizza parties. Just pay me, I have bills.
Right.
You know, like you're doing
your donuts and bagels.
Yes, like you're doing everything to make sure that I have to come back here and
gas card. Gas card so I get here.
Right. Like not do anything to value me as a person, or make me even feel like I want to show back up. Right. Like it feels like a very abusive relationship with the healthcare system. And it's insane. And it's so frustrating. That's just a sad one for me.
It is.
And then I just feel so bad because even getting this started, I'm like,
I was like, I don't know, like because people's lives gonna be in my hands, and I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for it.
Yeah. But on top of people's lives, I know, but because I feel like the people above you are throwing so much more stuff onto your hands. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, it makes you feel like you're going crazy.
Don't ride on you. Yeah. But going forward, you can't change a lot of lives and everything, and I think I'm really proud of you for taking a step to do this, and I really believe in your vision and your goal, and I know it's going to be a success. That's why I cannot wait, for all this to just unravel and just, come to the forefront, because we need this.
We need it. And the thing is I have to make sure, because I speak a lot about African American people, because we are the ones that are affected a lot of the time. Yeah. We are the ones who suffer silently, but together so many times, and it's like, but we don't feel like we got anybody that we can talk to, because all the people at the top all look the same. So it's like, we gotta watch that, and now we have to bring different mindsets together to make it work, because the people at the top, you don't only take care of white people. Right. You don't. Right. Your standards can't just be
exactly
for only whites. Like that's slavery thinking, and that's what working in healthcare feels like.
It does.
You know what I mean? It feels like slavery, even though we weren't technically in those times, but we know about it. We know about it, and we know how you treat us.
Exactly.
So it's like we have to that.
And nobody's really trying to pull the race card, but you can see it. Like you said, the white man had the issues, the black woman didn't, but yet she didn't have the pain medicine. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like, come on, that's not right.
It doesn't, but you'd be the problem if you were the one who reported.
Exactly. So they want you to be quiet, but we cannot be quiet.
Because how can I change?
Exactly. So somebody got to be the voice. Somebody got to be the reason. Somebody got to take the forefront.
Yeah. And then imagine, sending your child into that.
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Whether you're Asian, Hispanic, Japanese, African American, white, whatever, we all love, the love is not different. Yeah. Like, I don't love my child less because, they're like, I think if we can try to get away with like that thinking, and we need new minds. Yeah, you know what I mean? We need minds to build a better healthcare system. Because like I said, they just don't. What's being done doesn't work.
It's not.
Like this system just doesn't.
It's not. It's gonna fail.
It's already failing.
Right, but it's really like it's out of hand.
Yeah, it is. It's completely out of hand. So when you were working in healthcare, even now, what does the people at the top look like? What do you see?
There's not too many African Americans. And then, not trying to be funny, the African Americans that are up there, they kind of resemble the other people. Whether they be married to them or talk like them or whatever, or even try to like look like them. Yeah. I don't see too many that are just really authentic. I ended up seeing a lady because they posted something on our site or whatever, and she kind of looked like me, and I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. I mean, she had locks and everything, and I was like, wow, like that's good, because a lot of times they don't want you to be yourself. You know, they want you to cover up your hair, you know, because it don't fit the description that they want.
Yeah.
You know, they want you to dress a certain way. I'm not fitting in those boxes for nobody.
But you know how many of us feel like that?
A lot.
We talk about it. It's a conversation. We don't fit the description. You'll tell me that I have to change my hair because it's not natural.
Right.
But then, you know, Susie just walked in here with green hair. And
and that's okay.
And it's fine.
The girl had rainbow hair and it was cool.
Yeah.
But yet the girl had like locks and stuff, and it was like,
yeah. The rules are different.
Right. And it was like, what the heck? But I found myself, I didn't have locks at first when I started the company, but I did wear wigs from time to time. So I remember wearing the wig or whatever, but then I saw an article of a lady who had locks, right? And she went for an interview, and I believe her name was like, they thought she was a white person. The way she talked, it was like a white person, right? So she came in the interview with a wig, right? But she had locks. Mind you, she nailed the interview. But then when she came to work, she took that wig off and wore a lock.
Right.
Me personally, I would have went with the locks.
Yeah.
Because I'm not about to change myself for nobody. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't.
But that's programming, and you know what? That brings me to a conversation. So I was having this conversation with my father-in-law.
Okay.
And he was telling me, like, you know, where he used to work. You know, he was so good at his job. You know, he was so good.
Right.
And when it came time for his raise, you know, his boss told him, you know, you're doing so good, you're doing really good, but you're not approachable.
Okay.
And it's like, well, what does that mean? Because I'm like, has anybody actually tried to approach you? Nobody really tried to approach you. You know, so, you know, they wanted to tell him, you got to do X, Y, Z. And, you know, and he's like, you know, as soon as I started doing X, Y, Z, boom, I got the raise. And I'm like, it's that thinking that you have right there that keeps us stuck in the slave mentality. Because had you been somebody else, had you been another raise, nobody would have said anything to you. And then getting that raise, you would have just got it. Right. But if you pass on that mentality that you gotta, you know, you gotta wear your haircut, you gotta, you know, you gotta have a collar shirt, and you gotta do X, Y, Z, and it's like, but they get to be their authentic selves, right? Their microaggressions and everything that they do to us, they get to do that, and we don't get to say anything for that. But we're gonna teach our kids that you gotta come with your haircut, and you know, you gotta be a certain type of way when the rules don't apply.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you were doing awesome and excellent at your job, you should get the raise just because you are doing awesome and excellent at your job.
Productivity, right?
That's it.
It ain't about approachability; it's about productivity.
That's it.
Sense.
But if you haven't tried to actually approach me, but you look at me and it's like you'll do anything to make sure that I don't have. It's like we cannot, if we keep that mindset like that, we'll never progress. It'll never be better for our kids because we teach them that their behavior is fine. You know, and it's okay because this is just the world. And it's like, no, but the world needs to change. We need some type of disruption in this system for you to understand that you have to respect me just the same way as I have to respect you. And period, point blank.
Right. Matter of race.
It does not.
Or religion.
None of that. As long as I'm respectful, or if you approach me and you ask me a question and I'm, you know, it's just the interaction. You're here for the same reasons I'm here. You got bills to pay the same way I have bills to pay. Like that's it. Yeah. You know, but it's so frustrating because it's like any little way that you could pick,
you will do that.
You know, you're gonna do it, and it's like, but we know when you're doing it. Exactly. Like we know it. Right. You know, but I think you allow that intimidation. You feel like you're intimidated. I think that's the problem with me is that I'm not really intimidated because I see you.
Me either, and like I said again, I don't care about titles. I've talked to my manager, I've talked to my supervisor, and I've even told them like, look, I didn't come here to make friends. Yeah. I come here to do a job, and I do that, and I do it well.
Absolutely.
I give 100% every day. And no matter what I got going on, because I got some stuff going on. Yeah. I leave it at the door. I leave it at the door.
And that should be everybody's rule of thumb. Because we didn't come here for that.
Right, I didn't come here for that. Yeah. You know, and so I say, I don't need you to be up in my business. We don't need to socialize outside of work. None of that. Yeah. I come to do my job and I do it well.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And judge that.
Right.
Judge only that.
Right. And don't judge nothing else.
Only that.
But see, they wanted to stir a little trouble. They want to nitpick. They want to ask about this person. Why don't you go ask that person? Because I'm not about to tell you no information. Yeah. Like, I didn't come here for that. Yeah. I'm not doing that. Like, that's unprofessional. Right? Because if I was to do some stuff like that, y'all have me out the door
quickly.
But you could do that because you upper management? No.
Yeah. But you know, all too often we have that where management abuses that power.
Oh, of course.
You should be grateful because I'm doing a job that you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Like your job,
I'm making your job easier.
Easy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you would think that you would treat those people.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, whenever I always try to make sure that I do the best of my job. Like I try to make sure my personality is super bubbly.
Right.
I try to make sure that I'm a whole experience. It's like it's just all too often we see like those nurses supervisors that just walk around. Like it's like nobody makes you feel good for even being here, knowing that like I would rather be at home with my family.
Yeah.
So it's like the way that they look at you is like, why are you even here?
Right, and the crazy thing about it is you spend so much time there, you more time with them than you are your own family. So it's like, and to be treated like that, it does make sense. And like you said, these little parties here and there, I don't care about none of that.
None of it.
I'd rather be at home with my family who loves me and cherish me, and y'all treat me like crap, you know, and give me all this workload because this is supposed to be my job, you know, and I'm making it easier for you, but you're making it harder for me. No, and don't let state come in the building. Oh my God, everybody's running around and trying to do what they're supposed to. And guess what? I told them, I said, I ain't lying. I'm telling state the truth because my mama told me don't be lying for nobody. So I'm gonna tell the truth. State be like, you sure? Yeah, we sure right now. They call people in. So that's why we got all this extra staff. Right. But when y'all leave, guess what? They leaving too.
Because your magnet status isn't really magnet. It isn't really, honestly. Because we know the date that they come in, the roundabout time, the things that you need to do, and it's like I'm looking at, and then it's so crazy because it's like you want people to be this for you, but you want to still treat me like crap in the midst of want me to wipe down walls or make sure nothing is sitting right here, or make, like
take everybody to the dining room, but everybody don't be going to the dining room. Well, y'all need those 12 people in bed. Don't you want me to just fix them up with the bed on? No, take them to the dining room. But why? Why are we changing now?
Right.
If
always around
if we don't
time.
have that change, why don't we be consistent?
Why don't we be consistent?
Be consistent.
Now they want you to be your best self around that time.
No. I said I'm not about inconsistency. I'm about consistency. So let's do this all the time. Not just because this look good for paper, like pen and paper. You don't want to get citated. No.
It's insane. And then it's so crazy because then you'll have like charge nurses that'll tell you to do stuff. And like this on my part, and it's like I get a report from you and you didn't even do that.
Right.
Like this is what the leadership looks like. Like, you're not even you don't even fulfill what it is that you're telling somebody else to do. Like but the rules are not the same. That's what the problem is. It doesn't go hand in hand, and we don't have people that's gonna speak up. We're gonna talk on the side. Right. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about it, but it's like, I don't like talking on the side because this affects me. Right. I just recently had a conversation like on the 2nd of August, and I will never forget this interaction and how it actually made me feel. You know, a director, somebody that don't even know me. I know it was racial profiling, how you walked up, what your energy was like, how you tried to interrogate me. And then when you saw that this African American female was sitting here and she was teaching students and she was doing boom, 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 that became a problem for you. You didn't even get to know who I was. All you saw was what you saw. Get right here. Like, all too often, you know how I know what it is? It's because we see it too much. It's constant. You know what I mean? So it's like it's those things that need to change. Like we gotta stop having people in positions of power that abuse it, and we have to take it serious. So like when that stuff is reported, like we're not just gonna sweep it up under the rug because that's your friend. You know, because everybody up there look the same. So like web pages and stuff like that. So whenever I do see maybe like a African American person or even an Indian person or somebody that looks different get a position, I'll be like, okay, enough years must have done passed. And you say, you know what, we gotta hire one. We gotta get one of them in so we look like we're as diverse.
And I was just gonna say, what about the company? It's like, you gotta have like at least 2 black people.
You know, you gotta have 2.
Why is it that you gotta meet that quota? Like, why can't they good for it, they have the qualities for it, so they get it.
You're qualified.
Oh no, I have to have at least 2 black people, so I'm going to make them, fill the shoes. That's not fair.
But they don't even realize how obvious it is because we all see it. Like, so when it's like, welcome, such and such, I'm like, oh, it must have been time. Like, it must have been time to hire one because it's not one, we don't see it.
Where my dad at, there's only like 2 of them. 2 of them are like African American, and they met in this maybe a few other, races or whatever. But his boss, the position he got now, his boss told him that because you've been at this job so long, that's why you get it.
But not because I earned it.
He earned that.
Not because I earned it.
But you like, no, this other man, I want him to have it. How do you tell somebody something like that? And I told my dad, I said, you know what? We're going to rebuke all that. You deserve that job, and you're going to have that job.
But what I will say is the one thing that I would appreciate from that boss saying that to him is that ugly presented itself like head on.
Yeah.
For us, what they do is, we going to interview you.
Right.
We know you're not going to get the job.
Exactly, yeah.
We're going to interview you.
Right.
You're going to go through the process.
Yeah.
We're going to make you think that you really do, like you honestly got a chance to hear this.
Exactly.
You done went to school all these years, done studied, done became an expert in your field.
Exactly.
Thinking that you got something that you wholeheartedly wanted.
Right.
I will never forget this. I was working for a company and I had given them total before I left, I gave them 15 years of my time. I moved through, and what I really wanted to do, I just knew that I was going to do that job.
Right.
I had a 5-minute interview.
Wow.
At the time, they had just hired a new manager, right? And I wanted this job so bad. I just knew I done been with the company this long.
Right.
I got me a PCA job on this floor as a PRN, just so you get to see my face. Just so you know, like, I've been committed to this company.
Right.
I sat down. The question that got me out the door was, they asked me 5 questions. 5 minutes. I was from the time I got there to the time I got back into my car. It was 5 minutes. I couldn't believe it was so fast. Wow. The last question they asked me is, how important is diversity to you? And I said, it's very important to me because we serve a different group of people. So as a nurse on the unit, I could teach maybe a white nurse something that she don't know about that black patient that she's actually taking care of. Right. That was the end of my interview. What was crazy was, in that interview, there was an assistant nurse manager that sat in. Now, mind you, the new manager is new, so she doesn't know me. But the assistant manager knows who I am. Right. In the interview, she pretended, it's a white nurse. She pretended like she didn't know who I was. She didn't know that I was in nursing school, and she didn't know that I had obtained my master's degree. Well, she focused on that, though. She said, you have a master's degree? I said, yes. She asked me again, like, my answer was going to change. I said, yes.
But didn't she have, your resume or whatever?
Yeah, but but at the time when I was a PCA, I didn't disclose to them that I was getting my master's degree or that I even had 3 other degrees before. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So she knew absolutely nothing about that. So you could just tell it was a shock. But 5 minutes. And I'm like, I've been at this place at the time. I think I had been there for about 12 years. I've been there for about 12 years, maybe 12 and a half years. But still, you would think like, oh, she's committed. She shows up to work. She hasn't got, I hadn't gotten written up. I hadn't whatever. Like, and I could not get that job. I was so crushed.
So you didn't get the job for being yourself?
I didn't get the job. The 5-minute interview, the last question was, how important is diversity to you? I never had a 5-minute interview before, and I'm like, okay, I walked out of there knowing that I didn't have the job, and I sent follow up like, thank you for interviewing me. Right. Absolutely nothing. I'm just like, I walked away feeling discouraged, but I realized that all of that led me here. Right? All of these experiences that I had with racism, discrimination, and all of that led me here because I had to experience these things to be like, oh, something about this whole system needs to change. Right. And what's so crazy is the unit that I needed to work on, they had a policy that said that family members can't work together. There was 2 sisters that was working the same shift. One was the charge nurse and another one was working.
Right. What were they raised?
Oh, they were white.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So again, like it kind of goes back to race because they allowed to do certain things, but then we can't do it. And to piggyback off what you said, again, my auntie, who's a nurse practitioner now or whatever, right before she got her nurse practitioner license, she been working for this company for a long time, right? And she knows like the director, CEO, or whatever, right? It's supposed to be like family. She applied for a job as well, right? But a blonde head, blue eye, Becky came out of college or whatever, don't have no experience whatsoever. She got the job over my auntie, but mind you, they made her feel like she had the job. Yeah. So she thought she had it. Yeah. But guess what? It was just God basically putting her in a position so she could be where she's at now. Yeah. She's very comfortable. She loved it and she's thriving. Maybe that job would have been hell for her. Yeah. So.
But you know what? I find that a lot of our people go out and start their own practices.
Yeah.
But when somebody needs to go to an emergency, like nobody's
Right.
realizing that we have to go back
Yeah.
where it's not controlled, where we
Right.
have no control over anything, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, while those practices are good,
Mhm.
like we have to, the system has to change because
Right.
yeah, you might have somebody that look like you come to your practice, but
Yeah.
then you're sending them to the emergency room where people who don't care. And this
Right.
is not everybody.
Yeah.
Like not every white person that you experience, not
No.
every
No.
person do you experience this,
Right.
but we know when we experience,
Right.
like you know, people
Mhm.
will be so quick to say, "Oh, you just using a race card," but it's like no,
No.
because you present your ugly to me,
Yeah.
but you'll present nice you to
Right.
somebody else, and
Exactly.
we know what you
Right.
you know that I know what you're
Right.
doing.
And we see the difference.
We see the
Yeah.
difference, so it's
Yeah.
like nah, the healthcare system we gotta have. I was just recently talking to a guy, and he was like, "I don't even go to the emergency room. I don't go to the hospital because I don't trust them."
Yeah.
I said, "But what if you could? What if you could?
And what did he say?
What if you had a place that he was like, you kind of got me there?" And I'm like,
Right.
because we've never had anybody that's like really truly trying to stand
Right.
up to say, you know what, I stand for you,
Mhm.
and you don't even know it. Like when I look at your kids,
Right.
I stand for them, and they don't even know it because I know that when they enter these places, what it's gonna be like. Like
Yeah.
we have to stop that.
Right.
Like it's been time. Like
Yeah.
I tell anybody, ancestors only got us so far.
Right.
Like we gotta push us to
Exactly.
get farther. Otherwise, your kids have to relive
Right.
the things that you had to relive, and we know how it makes us feel.
Right.
You know, so this just it's an exhausting time.
It is.
It's such an exhausting time.
It
Yes,
is.
we have come so far, but it's
Yeah.
like we have to take our power away from them and stop
Right.
allowing them to give us how far they, want us to go. Like, oh, we
Right.
might, and then the people of color that are at the top, I'm sure that they're dealing with things that they don't even speak about because,
Right.
for one, nobody looks like you,
Exactly.
right?
Mhm.
I went to a predominantly white college,
Mhm.
and it's difficult to even tell them about our experiences because our experiences are not theirs.
Right.
So it's like when those experiences are not yours, like you don't really care too much. You don't care that, the person that's smiling in front of you is like just said a racial comment to me or,
Right.
because that's not who you experience.
Right.
And you're not going to take me serious because that's not who you experience. But I can
Mhm.
listen to another African American person and know because I'd be like, that same person said the same thing to me. We
Mhm.
understand, but there's no change there because
Exactly.
everybody feels like they're the ones that are in power. So we have to do something different.
Definitely.
Like we have to do something different. So that's what the cultural experience is all about. We have to be able to speak about these so
Right.
that change is created and not just to ourselves silently.
Right.
So why do you feel like we need cultural health care?
So many reasons. We definitely need culture because, like I said again, I believe in the mission, and it's not just for African American; it's for everybody, and it shouldn't be based on it shouldn't be based on race. It should be based on an individual because everybody's different. Nobody's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Even twins are different, right?
Right.
They're different. So, believing in the mission and just, I don't know, I just feel like it's going to be like a different unified system that is just going to give us what we need.
Yeah.
It's the reason, it's the season, I'm like seriously, I'm for it. I'm for it. I cannot wait for it to launch everything.
Yeah.
I'm ready for you to cut that ribbon.
Yes.
and have that broadcast, and they ask you all the questions. You hey, I'll answer your question. Seriously, I'm ready for the whole thing.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah, we do.
Need it.
We do. I was talking to my husband this morning, and I was saying,
Mhm.
all those things that the nurses complain about, right?
Right.
You don't have enough staff,
Yeah.
all that stuff like that, the burnout, the
Yes.
the way that y'all celebrate us, you're not really
Yeah.
celebrating us, you just
Right.
spending our money keeping somebody else's business. It's like I really am looking for the day that we can
Right.
change these things so that
Yes.
you feel comfortable going to the hospital.
Of course.
Hands
Right.
down, take me to cultural health care.
Exactly.
Hands down, that's what I'm going because they care about me there.
Right,
Or,
exactly.
and my nurse got time to
Right.
have time to spend time with me.
Right.
And not, I'm sorry I can't, Miss Ebony, I just need to pass you your pills because I don't got time.
Exactly. And then every shift, you get the same treatment. Not the one nurse be good, then the next nurse be shitty. No, you get it consistent.
Yeah.
Because that's how it should be.
Yeah.
It should be consistent. Because you're going to get that consistent bill and bill me right and then want to collect your money. Well, I want my consistent care.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Without having to fight for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I should not, what if I was a mute? So I feel sorry because I've taken care of several patients who could not speak.
Right.
And I feel sorry for those people.
Yeah.
They could not speak. They couldn't verbally express themselves.
Yeah.
Where they had to do different things to try to like let me know what was wrong or what they needed me to do for them.
Yeah.
That's sad. But I could have been the type of person like, oh, you can't speak, you can't say nothing. I'm just gonna sit here, and let you. No, I didn't do that. I sat there and tried to figure out what this patient needed. Oh, their back was itching. Oh, they need me to change them. Oh, they wanted to be rotated. Oh, they need some ice water. But everybody's not like that, So like, no, we need a difference. We need a change, and we need it to be consistent, and we need it now.
We need it now.
We need it now.
We need it now.
Not yesterday. We need it now.
Now, yes. So you know what? Welcome to the Culture Experience.
Hey.
And you know what? You don't even know, but you today have affected change. So I thank you for being here.
Well, I thank you for having me.
Thank
for
you
real.
so much.